Hello YouTube, you got Video Game House here once again with a new deck profile video from Prismatic Evolutions! With the release of Prismatic Evolution, the Eevees now run wild. And now, our first deck involves two of them, Flareon and Jolteon. Now, I will start out with a disclaimer that this is the deck that we came up with after playtesting quite a bit. Flareon and Jolteon is super consistent, able to hit 280 damage by turn 2, no problem, and set up multiple Eevees in order to do it. I'm going to do a quick profile on the deck and explain a couple of things that we have in the deck to why it makes it so consistent and why it's so powerful, and then we're going to get right into the video to show you just what it does. First things first, we start off with the Boosted Evolution Eevee. This Eevee did come out as a promo in the ETBs for Prismatic Evolution, and it states that if it's in your active spot, you can evolve it even on turn 1. This, paired with the Resonant Evolution Eevee, this Eevee is a little bit older, as you can see its gold border, has the ability that if another Pokemon evolves, you can evolve it as well. So if you can evolve Boosted Eevee on your turn 1 by using its Boosted Evolution ability, you can also evolve the two benched Resonant Evolution Eevees as well without using an Evolution TM, without waiting a turn. You just have it set up. We're going to skip ahead just a teensy bit and talk about the Bidoof Bibarel, a 2-2 draw engine that's super useful for the deck. Granted, we do run Ultra Ball. Granted, we do run not a lot of draw engine, obviously, with the one of Iono. So, double 2-2 Bibarel, great. You only need one on the board ever, really, to get everything set up. And then bouncing back to the Fan Rotom, which allows us to search up to 3 normal Pokemon from our deck with less than 100 HP. Meaning, you can use Fan Rotom to search out Boosted Evolution Eevee, the Resonant Evolution Eevee, and Bibarel. So you can get all of your Eevees, which are your attackers, and your support engine in one card. Which is why we have a lot of stuff that's able to get to it. Following up, we have the energies, a 4-4-5 with electric, water, fire in that order, because our biggest attacker is Flareon, why we run the 3-2 Flareon and Jolteon. Let's go over to Flareon and why it's so incredibly useful. Flareon has 2 wonderful attacks, its first attack being a fire and colorless, which does 130 damage, target 1 Pokemon on your bench, and give it any 2 energies from your deck, up to 2, so you can attach 1. But you can give it to up to 2 energies on your bench, which allows you to set up Jolteon or another Flareon on your bench and also do 130. Say you let your opponent go first, or they want to go first, and you go after that. You are then able to get all of this set up in one move because of how consistently we made the deck. An attack with Flareon for 130, usually good enough to weaken our opponent, if not get a prize card, and set up, say, a benched Jolteon or a benched Flareon to attack for 280 on the follow-up turn. And if they can knock out your Flareon, it's doubtful, but if they can, then you still have a backup play you can make afterwards. Our supporters, starting off with Arven, allows us on our turn 2, or turn 1, because if they go first, we get to use the supporter, allowing us to find Buddy-Buddy Poffin, which then can put down Fan Rotom and a Bidoof, and then Fan Rotom can find all of our Eevees to set up all of our Pokemon in a singular move, and a Sparkling Crystal, which makes our now Flareon, or even Jolteon, have 1 less energy in order to attack using that 280, or just 1 energy in order to attack on turn 1 for 130 with that Flareon. I did forget to mention, the Jolteon also has a free retreat cost, so starting with either Flareon or Jolteon can get you Flareon in the active, just for free retreat. We also run Crispin, which, like I said before, we are making this deck as consistent as possible, so Crispin can give us 2 energies if we are unable to successfully use an Arven to get the Buddy-Buddy Poffin to set everything up. If Boosted Eevee is still there, or some version of a card is still there, we can still get Flareon into the active and get it 2 energies. Boss's Orders and Iono are in there as normal cards for Gusting and Hand Disruption, but the 2-card combo, Kieran and Gravity Mountain, allows you to actively knock out any Pokemon in the game, including all those ones that have 340, like Skeledirge or whatever the evolution of Grottle is. I can't remember its name right now. That's so strange. But any Pokemon that has up to 340 HP, most of those are tier 2 Pokemon that have more than 300 HP. 310 actually. but you can use Gravity Mountain to lower them to 300 HP or 310 HP, and then Kieran to boost us by plus 30 to do 310 damage with our secondary attack for both Flareon and Jolteon, which is enough to knock out anything in the game. One of the biggest offenders that beats this deck, or was beating this deck, was Charizard, and it was a real pain in the neck, and we were struggling trying to figure out what the best stadium would be and how to get that extra 20 damage, because, you know, the stadium sets it to 300, but we only hit 280. So Kieran we found was a good option because it can retreat our Flareon for free. It can give us plus 30 to do extra damage so we can get to 310, and it helps with that matchup where we can go Gravity Mountain and Kieran. Obviously, like I said, the Buddy-Buddy Poffin allows us to find Bidoof and Fan Rotom on one. The Ultra Balls help us discard cards, so Bibarel can give us more draw engine and also help us find Jolteon and Flareon on turn 1, or Bibarel in order to draw more cards. And then the rest of this is basically just normal cards as tech pieces in order to help us with being more and more consistent with the deck. If you find the deck very aggressive and very strong, I would say you can switch out one counter catcher with one boss's order, so you can have a 3 bosses, 1 counter, or vice versa. If maybe you're getting beat up by whatever the ladder is, like a bunch of Charizards are outplaying you, then triple counter catcher, 1 bosses could work as well. The only cards that we were having a little bit of like a scuff with was the Rigid Band and the EXP share. They have a point in the deck. If you use Flareon, let's say, you can attack for 130, set up 2 energies on the bench, and then equip an EXP share. Not in that order, but the EXP share can give us the 3rd energy we need in order to attack, you know? To get the 280 without having to put down an energy, just set up another Pokemon with the other energy for that turn. And then Rigid Band obviously can help us get Jolteon from 260 to kind of 290, and then Flareon from 270 to 300. So it has a little bit more HP and it can survive more things than it could have before. So those are the only 2 that I would say could kind of get shifted around, but otherwise the deck felt very, very strong. Now I've been yapping for quite a bit now, so let's get right on into the games and show you guys what I mean with how consistent the deck can really be. Alrighty, so our very first game, nice and simply, this one was one of the matches that we did have on stream. This was before we did a lot of play testing and learning what works and what doesn't work, but I still wanted to show off the list and what it can do, or what it was able to do when we were still running stuff like Vaporeon and learning the deck and trying to test things out. We stream every Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. For practice sessions, we always stream Tuesdays and Thursdays to learn our deck list and make things, you know, adjust things to make it better. And Saturday and Sunday, we stream tournaments if you guys are interested in those kinds of things. Showing off what this deck can do and a little bit of like, I do admit there were a few misplays here and there that we could have played a little bit better with. But I still wanted to show off how, you know, useful the deck is. You know, our opponent starts poorly, but we start a boosted evolution Eevee, which allows us to evolve immediately into Jolteon, which has 0 energy retreat cost, so we can move things around. Luckily, we start here beautifully, and we just try and empty our hand a bit, so we just set up our Jolteon with the energy we need, aka all 3 of them. We just set up our hand so it's at low costs, and we set up a Buddy-Buddy Poffin here to get our Resident Evolution Eevees, so that way if we evolve one of them, it technically will evolve both of them. Unfortunately, we missed our turn 1 Fan Rotom, so it becomes a dead card. We, you know, already boosted evolution, so we already evolved the last turn, so, like, if I thought about it, maybe I wouldn't have done that. But I kind of had to do something. We didn't have extra energy. Jolteon's first attack is a lightning colorless that says you can discard up to 2 energy from your bench to do an extra 90 damage per energy, making it a 240 attack move, but you have to discard energies. Realistically, we never really use that all that much. The Flareon 130 for turn 1, allowing us to get those extra energy on the bench, is just better. But Jolteon can use it mid to late game once the Flareons have been used up and the energies might still be on them. With Kieran switching them out rather than using the 2 energy retreat cost it has, you might have extra energies on a damaged Flareon, making Flareon completely worthless at that point, so you can discard the energies and Jolteon can still hit very, very big. We did get to use that Resident Evolution since we did have a Vaporeon in our hand and evolve into a secondary Flareon. Free retreat cost gets us our Flareon into the active with that double energy, so we can attack for 130 since Comfey is just kind of standing there at this point. And then we're just going to use as much as we can. You have seen already 2 cards that I did not show you in our preset list, Vaporeon and Radiant Greninja. we were kind of doing that because Flareon can set up 2 energies on Radiant Greninja, and since we were running a bunch of water, we were able to use water on him in order to attack for 2 Pokemon. We thought it would work, found out it was too slow, pulled Radiant Greninja, switched out to Radiant Charizard, also didn't work because if we open it, we just lose the game because we can't get it out of the active. And Vaporeon, we've learned, not good. Vaporeon does water colorless 60 damage to every EX Pokemon your opponent has. Unfortunately, if they're on the bench, their Terra ability activates, meaning they don't take damage. If they wanted to make Vaporeon effectively good, all they had to do was say every EX Pokemon your opponent has takes 6 damage counters, which would then cut through the Terra Pokemon ability that if they're on the bench, they take no damage. So, we don't really have an out to Pikachu all that well because we just can't use Vaporeon to punch the damage. My opponent goes in here to try and, like, weaken my Pokemon. But since it didn't take a double knockout, it was kind of like a weird kind of play. So we were able to play around this a little bit more. We are running out of energies. We've already removed our Super Rod, I believe, early in the game. So we think we're kind of done for, but we just keep setting up. We think we're okay because we can still find Switch. We can still find answers. We do this. We were going to take Boss and voted against it because I was going to use the Iono in my hand. And then remembered I had Switch, so I don't even use it. And I go with Arven anyway, and I should have absolutely taken the Boss's orders. Get the free Switch off, and we're still able to set up a... either we can go in Jolteon, or we can go in with Flareon here. Best part about Jolteon is because we're not going to be using Vaporeon, we could use the Jolteon's first attack, discard the energies from Vaporeon because we're not going to be using it. We set up the extra energy here, so that way if he tries to do that same play with Bosses or Counter Catcher here, I would be able to place an energy on the Bibarel and retreat because we only had 1 Switch in the deck, I believe, when we used that Arven to check. But our board state here is very, very strong. He's at 5 prizes. The Ursaluna can't take a one-shot knockout. Only really Pikachu can. And we have enough time to get rid of the Pikachu. And then he, I believe, understands the factor that we're already set up with extra Pokemon. So there's no easy way out of getting 5 prizes before I can take Pikachu down and take on a single prize Pokemon. So instead of him just trying to, you know, scrape together an answer, he just kind of concedes out after Pikachu just takes its first hit. Unfortunately, Pikachu has to discard 3 energies here as well. This is another reason why. He has to discard the energies, and we make it very hard for him to be more aggressive here. And there's my damn crystal, which I was trying to hopefully get. He can't manually retreat now, and the Pikachu needs an extra energy now, so it needs 4 energies to set up. I think I checked for a Mirage Gate, and we were missing one, and I think he conceded. Another reason why is because I think he had a prized Mirage Gate, and so if he... this is my assumption. So he could never get the Pikachu set up, and he just concedes out after I hit him. Because, like, he draws into, hoping he finds a support or a, you know, Lost Vacuum or something to get rid of my stadium. Doesn't get it. Has no outplay for a 4th energy and just drops the concede. Me just flipping around to see what cards he has, trying to figure out what I can do, and then he drops out. GG. So this is our second game, nice and quick. We have the boosted evolution Eevee in our opening hand and an Eeveelution, the one that has a free retreat cost, so it's always wonderful. The reason I kept this game is because of how clutch it was. Our hand looks super dead, and then we hit Fan Rotom, and then you can just see how this works. Boosted Bibarel, there's our draw engine, there's our Pokemon, and we have the Jolteon, which, boom! Now we can double evolve, getting a Flareon on the bench, getting another Resonant Evolution, another Flareon on the bench. We have the free retreat with Jolteon, so we can just switch it out into a Flareon, hit the Crispin, boom, we get a fire energy. We get whatever other energy we need, put the fire energy on our Flareon, manually attach one of our 2 colored energies there, and just, boom. That was a setup. That was a turn 1. We have 3 evolutions on the board without having to wait a turn. We hit 130 damage to our opponent and set up another Pokemon with 2 energies that needs a 3rd energy in order to attack for 280 damage. And if our Flareon doesn't get knocked out immediately, we're able to set up another Flareon with the water energy in our hand to attack for another 280. I did make a slight miscalculation. I thought I had a fire energy in my hand here instead of a lightning, so I put a lightning on Jolteon rather than a fire, because I could have went fire and water and then equipped the lightning energy to it. But I did make a slight mistake. I also don't think my opponent may have known or understood how much damage my deck does. So I think in their interest, they should have retreated the Pidgeot and let out Dino, and so that way Dino could die here, but didn't. So now he just loses Pidgeot entirely. If I had any kind of hand disruption like the Iono in my hand right now, I could have hit him with an Iono after he searched for that Pidgeot, and it would have been great. I think he searched out this Arven to get the Rare Candy Defiance, and then he Rare Candies into Hydreigon he already had. Energize, counter gain, so he can attack for 200 to dumpster some of my stuff. And I'm like, okay, bet. We're just trying to empty our hand out so that way we're able to throw a bunch of extra stuff. I already have Jolteon hitting for 280 because of the stadium. Because of the tool. So we didn't need to do anything. We just set up the other Pokemon, and now he can't knock out Flareon because he's, on the bench now. But I hit 290, so now he's down to 40 HP. Almost everything in my deck can even knock it out, including Fan Rotom. But he decides to go Crispin, set up, and then try to remove my benched Pokemon. He tries to take out my Flareon, but because it's a Terra Pokemon, it blocked it. He could have attacked Bidoof. Oh wait, Bidoof also is protected on the bench. Other Flareon, also protected on the bench. The only thing they can take out is Fan Rotom. I think I looked away, by the way. I never really try and BM if I'm going to win the game. I would have just attacked him and moved on, but I just didn't realize. I think I just started playing more cards, and I'm like, alright, he's got another thing. But it happens. And this will be our last game to show off the consistency of the deck. As I said, as the games went on, our deck lists changed. Like I said, you saw in that first game, we played a Pokemon Headquarters. Didn't really like that. So we switched to Practice Stadium to try and hit 10 extra damage to, be a little bit more punishing against Arcaludon, let's say. Because Vitality Band plus Practice is plus 20, so we hit 150, doubling its knockout Arcaludon with Flareon. This is just our turn 1, and I did make a slight mistake here, where I could have used the Lightning Energy on Fan Rotom, retreated for the Boosted Evolution Eevee, evolved it into Flareon right there. Would I have been able to attack? No, because I didn't get Crispin. But I would have been able... I also went first. But I would have been able to use Flareon Boosted Evolution, evolves the Eevee, and then evolve the 2 benched Pokemon, so I had more HP to counter his play. Or did I go first? I was not paying attention right there. But now we can just do this, and now because of Resonance Evolution, we just evolve again, and this is just our board. Unfortunately, Fan Rotom just standing there is menacing. So we think switch, and we think switch because we can switch the Fan Rotom out, but I realized it didn't matter anymore, so we're just like, alright, Bidoof, Bibarel, go. Manual attach thing. If we had a stadium, we could actually attack with a Fan Rotom. Didn't get it. Okay, fine. We will retreat. Pushes up this. We have the crystal plus the 1 energy equals setting up 2 energies and just bip, done. Again, I used the wrong energy again because I have a fire energy in my hand. I could have went with lightning and water and then that would have been fine, but whatever. Funny enough, I did end up getting the prize lightning energy, so good on me. And my best outcome here is I wanted to get a boss's orders to go get that Pidgeot, but I think at the time we were running 1 bosses and 1 counter catcher. Because, again, this thing's worst matchup was always Charizard because of 330 HP, and we only hit 280. If you find a better variant, maybe you can use Max Belt, so it's a 1 card, so you can hit 280 plus the 50 to knock it out. But Kieran and Gravity Stadium, lowering him to 300, and then Kieran plus 30 for 310 total damage. That seems to be a much better option because Kieran is another switch option, so we don't have to waste energies with retreating for a cost with Flareon, so that way Jolteon becomes more effective. And so this just seems to work. When he used Nest Ball, I thought he was going to go with a Charmander. I assumed that his Charmanders were prized, so he couldn't. So we're just going to be setting up everything else in order to try and see where we can go from there. We can weaken the Charizard. If he doesn't put down a Charmander next turn, then he's just going to lose. So I assumed since, you know, he went Radiant Charizard and he has 6 cards prized still, or I have 5 cards prized, I don't expect him to have a Charmander. Maybe he just has it prized and he's looking for Hisuian Heavy Ball or Buddy-Buddy Poffin with Pidgeot here. This matchup was more so to show off how quickly we can get a full board set up, because this turn, they have a Charizard, yes, but we have a Flareon with 2 energies on it, which hits for 130 plus setting up energies. We have a Jolteon with triple energy, we have a Flareon with double energy at full HP, and we have all the energies in our hand already in order to set up any one of them to do 280 damage. So, what more do I need? I'm already, like, he couldn't get a knockout because I only took 1 prize, so even with Defiance Vest, it's only hitting 240, and he didn't set up another Charmander, so all I have to do is just hit him really, really hard. And so I did. So without another Charmander to set up, you know, and no energies on the board for attacking with anything else, we just win. I'm going to bring the deck back up. If you guys want to see it one more time, it will be in the description below as well. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and like I said, if you find anything we can move around or change to make it a little bit more punchy to deal with the bigger damage decks like Charizard, let me know in the comment section below. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys think of the deck. I'll catch you guys in the next video.